The early morning air was cool and quiet, and the small town had not fully awakened yet. The streets were saussure, almost empty except for a few people beginning their daily routines. A gentle breeze moved through the trees, carrying the soft sounds of birds greeting the rising sun. In a modest house at the corner of a narrow street lived a young man named Lucas. He was known in the town as someone who was intelligent and thoughtful, yet he always looked worried, as if his mind was constantly filled with too many thoughts. Lucas was the kind of person who thought about everything. He thought about the past, about mistakes he had made years ago, about things people had said to him, and about every possible problem that might happen in the future. His mind was like a crowded room where thousands of voices were speaking at the same time. Because of this, he rarely felt peaceful. Even when life around him was calm, his thoughts continued racing endlessly. Every night, Lucas lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. Instead of resting, his mind replayed conversations from the past or imagined difficulties that might come tomorrow. Sometimes he worried about whether he would succeed in life. Other times he wondered if he had already wasted too much time. The more he thought, the more restless he became. One morning, after another sleepless night, Lucas decided to take a long walk. The sky was just beginning to brighten as he walked through the quiet streets. The cool air felt refreshing, but his mind still refused to slow down. He kept thinking about unfinished plans, goals he had not achieved, and questions about his future. Eventually, his walk led him to a small path outside the town that many people rarely used. The path passed through a peaceful area filled with tall trees and open fields. At the end of the path stood a small wooden hut beside a clear flowing stream. Lucas had heard about this place before. An elderly man lived there, a quiet man whom people often described as wise. Many travelers had visited him over the years, seeking advice or guidance. Lucas hesitated for a moment but then slowly approached the hut. The old man was sitting outside on a simple chair, watching the stream as the water moved steadily over smooth stones. He seemed calm and completely relaxed. Lucas greeted him politely. "Good morning." The old man looked up and smiled warmly. "Good morning, young man." Lucas stood there quietly for a moment, unsure of what to say next. The peaceful atmosphere of the place felt very different from the noisy thoughts in his mind. The old man noticed his expression. "You look troubled," he said gently. Lucas sighed and sat down on a nearby rock. "My mind never stops," he admitted. "I think about everything all the time. Problems, plans, worries, memories. It never ends. I want peace, but I don't know how to quiet my mind." The old man nodded slowly, as if he had heard this problem many times before. He picked up a small cup that was sitting beside him and filled it with water from a wooden pitcher. Then he began pouring more water into the cup even after it was already full. The water overflowed and spilled onto the ground. Lucas looked at him with confusion. "Why are you doing that?" The old man stopped pouring and placed the pitcher down. "This cup," he said calmly, "is like your mind." Lucas frowned slightly. When a cup is already full, nothing more can enter it. In the same way, when your mind is full of constant thoughts, worries, and noise, there is no space left for clarity or peace. Lucas looked at the overflowing water on the ground. "So what should I do?" The old man smiled. "First, you must learn to empty your mind." Lucas laughed softly. "That sounds impossible." The old man shook his head. "It is not impossible, but it requires practice and patience." He pointed toward the flowing stream. "Look at the water. It flows freely because it is not trying to hold on to anything. It simply moves forward." Lucas watched the stream quietly. "Your mind, however," the old man continued, "tries to hold on to everything. Every mistake, every worry, every fear about the future. All those thoughts create weight." Lucas felt as if the old man had described his life perfectly. "But if I stop thinking," Lucas asked, "how will I solve problems or plan my future?" The old man chuckled softly. "I did not say stop thinking completely. Thinking is useful when it helps you act, but endless thinking without action only creates confusion." Lucas thought about this for a moment. "That's exactly what happens to me," he admitted. "I spend so much time thinking that I feel exhausted before I even begin doing anything." The old man nodded. "A busy mind often becomes a tired mind." He stood up slowly and began walking toward the stream. Lucas followed him. The old man picked up a small stone and dropped it into the water. Ripples spread across the surface. Your thoughts are like these ripples, he explained. One thought creates another, and another, and another. Soon the entire surface becomes disturbed. Lucas watched the water carefully. After a few moments, the ripples disappeared, and the surface became calm again. Notice what happened, the old man said. The water became calm on its own, Lucas replied. Yes, the old man said, because it stopped being disturbed. Lucas began to understand the lesson. Your mind is the same. Peace does not come from adding more thoughts. It comes from allowing the mind to settle. Lucas sat down near the edge of the stream. The gentle sound of water moving over the rocks created a calming rhythm. For the first time in a long while, he simply sat without trying to analyze anything. Minutes passed quietly. Lucas noticed something surprising. When he stopped chasing every thought, the noise inside his head slowly began to fade. The old man spoke again. Most people believe they must control every thought in their mind. But that is not necessary. You only need to observe them and let them pass. Lucas nodded slowly. So instead of fighting my thoughts, I should simply let them go. Exactly. The old man smiled. Thoughts are like clouds in the sky. If you chase them, you become lost. But if you simply watch them, they pass by. Lucas spent the rest of the morning sitting beside the stream. At first, his mind continued producing many thoughts, but he did not try to follow them. He simply noticed them and allowed them to disappear. Gradually, the space between his thoughts became larger. He felt lighter. When he finally stood up, he looked at the old man with gratitude. I feel calmer, he said. That is because you allowed your mind to breathe, the old man replied. Lucas visited the old man many times over the following weeks. Each visit taught him something simple yet powerful. He learned that a quiet mind sees opportunities more clearly. He learned that peace gives strength, while constant thinking drains energy. He learned that success does not come from a crowded mind, but from a focused one. As Lucas practiced emptying his mind each day, his life slowly began to change. He became more present in conversations. He listened carefully instead of overthinking what to say next. He worked more efficiently because he focused on one task at a time. He slept better because he no longer carried endless worries into the night. Months passed, and people around Lucas began noticing the difference. You seem different, one friend said. You look calmer. Lucas smiled. I learned how to empty my mind. At first, they did not understand what he meant, but Lucas knew exactly what had changed. The noise that once filled his mind had slowly disappeared. In its place came clarity, focus, and peace. One evening, he returned to the small hut beside the stream. The sun was setting, painting the sky with warm colors. Lucas sat beside the old man once again. I think I finally understand your lesson, he said. The old man looked at him kindly. And what did you learn? Lucas looked at the flowing water before answering. I learned that a peaceful mind is stronger than a busy mind. The old man nodded. And? Lucas smiled. I learned that when you empty your mind, you make space for wisdom, creativity, and true happiness. The old man's eyes reflected quiet satisfaction. That is the greatest secret many people spend their entire lives searching for. The stream continued flowing gently beside them, reminding Lucas of the lesson he would carry for the rest of his life. A mind filled with noise cannot see clearly. But an empty mind becomes powerful, focused, and free.